Welcome to Bottle Rocket with Elena Sucheva, your top hockey podcast. Welcome back to Bottle Rocket. I'm Elena, joined as always by Maeve and Teabag. And today our guest is Jason Helman, is a nationally recognized PGA of Canada professional with over 25 years in the game, a top instructor and coach, and someone who's worked with athletes of all levels. Jason's great uncle, Harry Helman, played for the Ottawa Senators back in 1923. Jason, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Good to be on.
Happy to have you.
I'd like to know about your ancestor, historic playing. Did you ever hear any stories about him?
So I did not. So here's kind of the scoop on the whole situation. My dad, my late dad, his dad, my grandfather, and was his brother. So it'd be my great uncle. So at that time, there was only one pair of skates given to each family, and my grandfather had two jobs. So he didn't really want skates because he was busy working. I guess he was the older brother, and the other one was a younger brother. So he got the skates. My grandfather was actually a better hockey player. So this is 1923-24. So the younger one got the skates, and then he ended up playing for the Senators. And in 23-24, they won the cup. So that's kind of how it evolved, I guess. My grandfather already had two jobs when he was, because he's the older brother, I guess maybe about 10 years or something like that. So so he got the skates, the younger one got the skates, and then he ended up making the team.
Stan probably watched him play.
Yeah, pick up with you then.
So, Jason, now growing up, what did you hear from your family about hockey? I mean, what kind of stories or influence did that early Sens connection have on you?
Yeah, I know him obviously because I was born in 1969, so I never ended up meeting him. So my grandfather, I did, of course, but I was like, I think maybe 8 when he passed away. So I was basically at age 3. I had a hockey stick in my hand, pretty much like every Canadian kid, and played till I was 20. I had an overage year in junior, but I wasn't good enough to be at that selection of two 21-year-olds. It wasn't junior A, it was junior B, but still had a lot of good players come up through our team. I played with Freddie Brathwaite, who ended up playing for Calgary and a few other teams. He was on our team, then he went to Smith Falls Bears Junior A, and then he went to Oshawa right after that, and then they won the Memorial Cup. So same year. So pretty cool. And then a couple other guys that I played with one guy had a tryout with the Senators, Mark McCreary, and he played I think 6 or 8 games there. And then he basically said it was like a revolving door, kind of going through the system at that time. This is probably 4 or 5 years into the Senators when they came back to the league. So, but fun times all the way up growing up. I remember we had like a midget team that went undefeated, and I grew up in a small town, Westport, Ontario, down near Kingston. So, lots of hockey down there. Ottawa Valley.
So are you a Leafs fan?
I am a Leafs fan, yeah. Yeah, well, there was no Senators when I was a kid, so it was always Leafs fan. I posted a kind of a cool picture on the Instagram yesterday. Alina saw it. I was talking to one of my students, and I said, I need a new pair of skates. I'm a Bauer guy. So and he's like, no, you got to see these CCMs. And he said, let me go to my car, and I'll show you the CCMs I got. So he brings in a pair of Austin Matthews skates, like literally Austin Matthews, I guess a couple generations ago. He got them from, you can buy previous pro skates. I think if you just go to Just Hockey, I saw a pair of Matthew Nye skates for sale. They're like $899 or something. But it was pretty cool. Like he has the city skyline embossed on the side of his skate. Canadian flag on there, and then 34 underneath and stuff. So it's pretty cool. So I might be a CCM guy now. We'll see.
well, Matthews changed from CCM to Bauer and then switched back again. I
Yeah,
guess they're very superstitious, right?
yeah. I think McDavid did too.
Matthews did it first.
Did he?
Yeah.
Hey, you got Edmonton colors there behind you, so you must be a McDavid fan.
So how old were you when you started playing golf?
So I was late bloomer at 14. We just didn't really have like what the kids have these days with all the tours and stuff that's going on. Um, it was just like play at your sort of like local club, and you play the club championship, and then all the older guys would get mad because you would win or you'd play well because they didn't have as much time to play as the kids did, and then they said, okay, well, you kids can't play in the club championship because you're always winning. So now it's not like that, but it maybe it is at some courses. I'm not sure, but now the kids are getting scholarships going to the States, and there was some back then, but not as prominent as it is today.
Yeah, you watch the College World Series there of golf on the Golf Channel, and half of them are from Canada.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, we got a lot of good players.
Yeah. So who was your favorite golfer growing up, and who was your favorite hockey player?
So I'll go with Freddie Couples, and let's see, for hockey, probably Wendell Clark.
Uh,
Yeah, a couple of those videos popped up on Instagram, and I was like, oh, there's just not a player like him anymore. They're just like all out all the time, now they seem to like to, they don't want to get injured. They want to protect their bonuses. I don't know. I don't see the grind and the grit every game that when he played, or it was a different era, obviously, but still, you could play like that if you wanted to today, but they just don't.
Yeah, my biggest Wendell Clark memory is he was on the shelf. He was injured for like 2 months, and then he came back, and it was happened to be a Saturday night, so it was Hockey Night in Canada. So I was watching, and he was on the ice for the opening face-off, and within 30 seconds he destroyed like 3 guys. Just there was no holding back, there was no filter with him, and
Yeah.
he was one of those guys who could hit, he could fight, and he could score, and he could play make. He's just the whole thing. Yeah, he was a great player. Should have been a Canuck.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. He did all those great things until he came to Long Island. And he was a huge disappointment. A huge.
Well, he was older then. Took a toll on him.
I have a golf question, a golf hockey question, Jason.
Sure. Yeah.
So many hockey players play golf. You don't hear about them playing tennis, although the Canadians, the old Canadian guys did. The Rocket played, and the Pocket Rocket. But so many hockey players play golf. And is it simply, in your mind, is it simply because the golf club is not far from a hockey stick, or why does this happen?
I mean, it's a similar motion. Plus, I mean, if you go by the seasons, like we're obviously not playing golf in the wintertime here in Canada anyway. You can in the States, but and hockey's not as prevalent down in the States, in the southern states, as it is in the northern and Midwest, right? So I think it's just they gravitate towards it naturally. Baseball players, a lot of good baseball players they're good golfers as well. So similar natural motion. And then in Canada, 35% of Canadians are left-handed because pretty much, like I have the picture of me when I was 3 years old, and it's like right hand on top, left hand on the bottom with the stick. So now it's right hand on top, left hand on the bottom with the golf club too. Same thing, similar motion. So not too many people are switch over to the right-handed side of things. It's like 5% in the United States that's lefty. Australia's a little bit higher, similar to us, because they play cricket down there. So there's a lot of lefty cricket players, and then they got a lot of golf down there too, a lot of golf courses. So I think it's just a similar natural motion, same axis point down there in the bottom versus baseball is like more horizontal. So and there's obviously switch hitters in baseball, and there's some switch golfers that can switch sides and play both sides. Not too many, but there's a few. So
one of my all-time favorite players. This is a connection between golf and hockey in a negative way. Wild Bill Ezernicki, one of my favorite players on the Leaf team that won 3 straight cups in 47, 48, 49. He was one of the best golfers in Canada, Wild Bill Ezernicki. And Conn Smythe traded him because Smythe didn't like the fact that that he had a player who was so interested in golf. He traded Ezernicki to Boston, which of course broke my heart. But interestingly, which was a bad thing I felt for the Leafs because I love the guy. Okay, now last spring after the Rangers missed the playoffs, which was bad enough, they had one of these meetings where the players meet the GM and tell them how much they like or not like the coaching. But it's very important. And JT Miller had come to the Rangers. It was a big deal with him in Vancouver. And he missed the meeting. He missed the meeting to play golf. And that to me was a statement that this guy is not really that interested in an important meeting with the team. But he had some cockamamie excuse afterwards. But he couldn't wait. There was a big tournament coming up, and he wound up. I'm sure you'd know what it was. It was it was sometime in April, and he was off to that tournament. And all he was doing the rest of the summer was playing in tournaments. And he's back with the team now, and he's been terrible. He's been a terrible captain.
Yeah, and there was a big, well, we'll say, not argument, discussion of like who should be traded, Pedersen or
Miller.
Miller, right? Yeah. Well, there you go. There's your answer.
It should have been both of them.
Yeah.
So have you coached any NHL players being a pro?
So there's a few guys at my club that are members. So we got Glenn Healy's a member of our club. Jeff Bukaboom is there, and then the club has hosted the NHL alumni tournament a couple of times. So a lot of people come and go. There's I'm in Uxbridge, Ontario. There's a lot of hockey players that are born and grew up in that area. So I think Marchment is from that area, Mason Marchment. Who else? Quinton Byfield comes to the club all the time. Mike Smith used to live right beside the golf course. He's retired now, I think. So, so coached a couple of those players. Yeah. So, and then there's a lot of players that even some of the Leafs come because they know a couple of people and they can get on the golf course. So,
who is the best golfer out of the Leafs?
Oh, I don't know. I've never played with any of them like recently, but I think Willie's pretty good. Yeah, he's been to the club a few times with a couple of different members.
He's a man of many talents.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a teaching question.
Yeah, sure.
I was doing the Devils games and Sports Channel and also Islander games. Normally, the summer, we'd have a get-together every summer, and it was usually at a country club in Westchester, which had tennis courts and a golf course, obviously. And I love tennis. I love the game. Tennis and handball were my games. Well, there was one occasion where they switched to another country club, which had only golf. And Peter McNabb, the late Peter McNabb, great guy, was with me. And when he realized that I was not joining the quartet that he had planned, he said, "Well, you should play." I said, "No, I'm not. This is not my game. I don't think it would be a good idea." I have to tell you, Jason, it was one of the most humiliating days in my life because I was a total disaster. Now, if you were with me then, And I said, Jason, do you think I'm hopeless for this thing, or how many years would it take me to be able to play golf?
Well, it takes a while. Like a lot of people think it looks very easy, and oh, I can
Oh,
do that, right? So, but it's not. Like you need to put a lot of time in. So it's probably the most difficult sport in the world. Um, on the list, it doesn't show up like the most difficult sport in the world, but it definitely, I think it is. So in terms of repetition and expectations and outcome and all of those things, a lot of people once you've hit one good shot, they think they should be able to do it all the time. That's like saying when I shoot on the net, I should always score. So like that's not realistic. So what we try and do is try and sort of manage your expectations, your emotions, your judgments on your outcome, and then you can kind of come down into the real world basically of like, oh, acceptance. I say acceptance is a skill. So, and a lot of people don't know what that is. Like they just can't accept outcomes. They always want to be perfect, and you can't be perfect. So, I mean, like saying you're going to go out and score every shift in hockey, which is not realistic. So, and I don't think any of the players think that. If they do, then they're not living on this planet, right? So, and they don't have those goals every shift. It's just like go out and have a good 45-second shift. So same thing with golf. Like we were always playing for your best score when you tee it up by just one stroke better. So in terms of, I've had people say, well, I should just quit and play tennis. It's like, no, you should just like put the work in and grind through it and see how good you can really be. And then if you manage your expectations along the way, it's a lot easier to perform. So what people just don't understand is that their performance, they want it really, really high all the time. And you just can't play at a high level all the time. And that's why you'll see even guys in the games, they just can't play at the high level all the time. So they'll have good games, bad games. They don't back check one time or two times, like what happens in like Austin didn't have a good back check on against the Knights there the other night, and they scored. So it is what it is. In terms of effort, or maybe you're gassed on that shift. Who knows? Which they should probably manage their shift time better. But there's lots of things that are the same in transfer from sport to sport in terms of performance. So, and one of them is expectations. So, if you can manage those, then I think it's a little bit easier to play and perform and take some pressure off.
I think golf is one of the most like unreliable, unpredictable, and inconsistent. That's the word I'm looking for.
I think frustrating is the word you're looking for. Because like I played a lot, from the time I was about 34 until I was about 50. I played quite a bit. And there'd be times where, oh yeah, I got this game figured out, and then it would just jump up and bite you. That was the most frustrating part of it. There's a line from a movie. It says, Jack Lemmon says, golf is a game that can't be won; it can only be played. And that was in Legend of Bagger Vance. And I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite golf movie?
I mean.
Happy Gilmore.
You got Happy Gilmore. It's kind of a classic, right? It's pretty funny. Tin Cup is also pretty realistic in terms of like what happens in the golf industry. So some of it, anyway, not all of it.
Yeah.
But it's. I don't think there's been enough golf movies. Now they got the behind the scenes on the PGA Tour on Netflix or whatever that is. I haven't actually seen it. But,
have you seen Happy Gilmore 2?
I have not seen it yet. No.
Oh, well, it's not as good as the first one, but Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they make the movie. So, but if you don't know who they are, it's not really that you don't see the humor in it. But
sure.
But yeah, it's like me with hockey movies. That Mystery Alaska is a great hockey movie if you know nothing about hockey.
Right.
So I find, Legend of Bagger Vance, I thought that about golf movies. It was a great golf movie if you know nothing about golf, because I know Bobby Jones and the other, I can't remember the name of the other old time golfer they had there. That their portrayals weren't really all that realistic.
Yeah.
Who was the Babe Ruth of golf? The guy who was the all-time greatest golfer.
So you got Snead that has the most wins, and Tiger is like one behind him, I think. Or no, he's tied with him, 82. He's trying to get 83, but I'm not so sure he's going to get to that number with all the surgeries and injuries he has. Of course, he always says he's coming back and he's healthy, but then it doesn't really show up that way.
Yeah, when I think it was, I think Bobby Jones saw Jack Nicklaus playing, and he said he plays a game that I am unfamiliar with. So
yeah,
because Jack Nicklaus was just so much better than anybody he'd ever seen, and he was and so I consider Jack Nicklaus to be the greatest golfer ever.
Yeah,
the most majors,
Yep.
And he won the Masters at 46, so which is unheard of. So
yeah, that's the great debate these days. It's like, who is the GOAT, right? So I mean, if you want to call them GOATs of their era, then yeah, like Nicklaus is the GOAT of that area, Tiger is the GOAT of this era. But yeah, Jack has the most majors, and I think that's what most people qualify as being the best.
And what separates great athletes from good ones, regardless of sport?
I'm going to go with attitude and effort. So if you have a poor attitude, it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to perform. And I mean, I've taught at all the levels. So LPGA, PGA Tour, Korn Ferry Tour, which is just below the PGA, Canadian Tour, the Epson Tour, which is just below the ladies, the LPGA Tour. So mostly attitude. Sometimes in terms of golf, it can be financial, where players just don't have the funds to, like, they have the talent, they have the good attitude, but they just don't have the funds to, like, make it as long as they need to. There's only one winner on in the golf tournament every week, so it's tough to win out there because there's so many good players. So in terms of effort, like, some of these people practice 30 to 40 hours a week, and then I'd say some of the older players that are not participating as much anymore, or ones with families, are we'll say practicing smarter, not necessarily harder. So they'll be like, okay, I'm going to put 4 hours in this day, and then maybe 6 hours in this day, or like I know one player that's like between 10 and 12, they'll go to the golf course. They'll drop the kids off at school, go to the golf course. 10 to 2, they'll maybe play 9 holes. Then they have lunch, and then they'll go, okay, I gotta, like, work on my short game, or my putting was terrible in the 9 holes, or my ball striking wasn't good. And then they do that, and then they pick the kids up from school. So that's smarter. It's 4 hours, 5 hours in total, I guess, but 4 hours of practice. So
to get a reaction from each of you on this. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, the Rangers have been in a tailspin. They got beaten 10-2 on the weekend and 8-4 most recently to Ottawa. And the reporter for the New York Post, which has the biggest sports section in New York, covers a lot of hockey. The woman who wrote the story called the Rangers gutless. Gutless appeared in the headline, and gutless appeared in the story. My question to you folks is, how do you react to something like that? Is that a fair thing to say about these guys? I mean, gutless to me is the dirtiest word in sports, along with choke. But this time it was gutless, and I was shocked when I saw it. just wondering what you think of it, journalistically, emotionally, or whatever.
I don't know. I wouldn't gutless. Yeah, it's not a great word to use. They're playing hard, obviously. What are they in the start of the year? They couldn't win at home, right? They were
They
like
still can't.
yeah, but then won a couple, I think. But I think they were 0 for like 8 or something like that at home.
Terrible.
The first 8 games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not gutless. It's just not performing. I mean, maybe they're not a cohesive team. Maybe there needs to be a change. Who knows? I mean, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes in the locker room and practices and all those kinds of things. So I would say, are they working hard every night? Are they working as hard as they need to work? Maybe not. Maybe they're just not as good a team as some of these other teams, right? So it can just boil down to that. Is that they can't compete with some of the other players. I mean, we've got young players now. Look at Schaefer in the island. He didn't make the Olympic team. Hopefully he's going to end up going. But he's 18 years old and he's a phenom, right? And you got Bedard, who's like, I saw something the other day. It's like Hart Trophy candidate. It's not picked for the Olympic team. Like, are you kidding me? So like, I don't know. I swear when the Olympic team came out, it felt like Pat Quinn picked the team. All old players, 30 plus. Picking the veterans. So, so I don't think that they're gutless. It's just maybe just don't have the same talent as everybody else. Or I mean, they got the goalie. Shesterkin's awesome, but maybe just not the players in front of them, or maybe they compete, or maybe just not pushed hard enough. Don't know. So,
point is, everything you said is related to either a lazy team or an inept team. But to say they're gutless, I don't know how she equated it or examples, and it just seemed to me that it was a unnecessary smear. Just wondering what you think, Jerry and Elena.
Well, I gutless is a pretty harsh word, but it is kind of apropos. I think they're just not giving it their all. And I think that and in the NHL, you have to give 100%. You can't take a night off and only give 95 or 90%. It just doesn't work that way. And like I watch Zibanejad. That guy is a magnificent skater. I mean, he can go from end to end in 3 strides. He's such a good skater, and you never see it. You just never see it. And, I think maybe in their own heads, they think they're giving 100%, but they're not. You can see it. You can, you watch the games and you can see them not, not engaging physically. And losing puck battles they should win, and little details like that. It's just that they're not on top of it. And that's the extra 5 or 10%. So I think, like I say, gutless is a harsh word, but, you could argue that it's apropos.
Well, the point you made is very, very good, because if a guy is not to hit when he can hit, even clean, that may be translated into gutless, and not shying away. But somebody told me a long time ago that you can't say anybody who's reached the NHL doesn't have guts. You got to have guts to play in the NHL. So you can take it or leave it. What about you?
I wouldn't use the word gutless. I think it's a bit too harsh. Dumpster fire, I would call them. They have incredible goaltending, so many good players. But yeah, I agree with Jerry. When you look at the team, they don't get into the corners. They kind of slacking as if they're afraid to get hurt. I think it's just maybe lack of discipline or not enough heart, but not gutless. I wouldn't call it that. I heard Panarin is not renewing. Well, they're not going to renew his contract. Maybe he should shave his head again, maybe to reset. Maybe that would work.
Yeah, that kind of goes.
Going to get the hell out of New York so fast you won't even see it. But it's a very, 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 very interesting situation there. And for a guy who's getting a lot of dough, who are not playing, they're not like T-Bag says 100%. I don't think they get past 15%, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, in the effort department, like little things like finishing your check in the offensive zone. So if you bump a guy in the offensive zone, that means he doesn't get to the defensive zone for another split second, and maybe that's enough to prevent the goal. So, you got to finish your checks in the offensive zone, and you got to beat them back to the defense zone when the puck is turned over. So it's a simple game. And like some of these coaches, I think maybe Sullivan is just taking a simple game and making it too complicated for the players. I mean, they're obviously playing a system that they're not accustomed to or not built for. So, there's something's got to give, because they have way too much talent to not be at least competitive for a playoff spot. And they are way behind. They're lagging way behind now.
Well, I don't know whether you fellas and gal know, but the owner of the team sent a letter to all fans, made it public, and it's full of alibis about the team. And the problem is that the owner is more interested in his basketball team, and the general manager, Drury, is totally inept. And his reward for ineptitude was he got a new contract, which shows you how stupid the owner is. And of course, he brings in a coach, Sullivan, who for 3 years in a row missed the playoffs with Sidney Crosby, Geno Malkin, and Letang. And now they got another coach in Pittsburgh, and they're going to make the playoffs, which shows you how bad Sullivan is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you think the Leafs are going to do, Jason, this year?
Well, I mean, there have been a little bit of a bounce back in this last 12, 13 games. I think their effort is starting to show up a little bit better than it did earlier in the season. Maybe they're just starting to bond and figure out. I mean, I know he switched the lines up there a few games ago, and so that started to pan out, and they started to score. And who knows? I mean, they got some goaltending. A message back with Alina a couple of times, and we'll take Sherwood and we'll take Jason Robertson and throw Stamkos in there at the trade deadline. We don't need that right D. Just who cares? We need to score.
What did you think of the last game against Vegas? Wasn't that heartbreaking?
At least Marner didn't score.
Yeah, exactly.
Had up 2 assists, but he didn't score.
Yeah. The my big issue with that game, Vegas and Toronto, was Berube putting Morgan Riley on the ice in the last minute of a 1-goal game. Morgan Riley is the worst defensive defenseman on the team. I mean, he's minus 50 for his career, and he's minus 14 this year. That they deserve to lose if he's going to put somebody on who's not that inept defensively. Morgan Riley, great offensive defenseman from the center line in. There's not very many people who are better, but the center line back, he's a disaster.
Yeah, he's proven it over and over. The same mistakes keep happening, and somehow he keeps getting those minutes, while others get punished. I honestly don't get it. Riley's speed isn't what it used to be. He's not making the right reads, and he's often out of position, and yet they still put him out there in the final minute. Every time the Leafs get scored on, I see number 44 on the ice.
Who is that?
Morgan Riley.
Morgan Riley is always digging the puck out of his own net.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a weak spot. If Morgan Riley is your number one defenseman, you're not going anywhere. I don't think, no matter what trades you make, they've got to limit his ice time. I think, let them play the power play. If they're up by 2 or 3 goals, he can be the number one guy. But 1 goal game, no, the guy's a disaster. So it's only going to cost you. So,
Jason, who is going to be a Stanley Cup winner? Early prediction.
Ooh. Let's see.
Colorado is doing well.
Who?
Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said Ottawa. I was like, no. Last team. Love Makar and McKinnon.
Yeah, absolutely.
My issue with Colorado is they're going to be home and cooled for the last month and a half before the playoffs begin. When is the last President's Trophy winner who won a Stanley Cup? So, they're so far ahead of everybody. You can't help but take your foot off the gas for the last 6 weeks of the season. And then you can't just flip a switch. I mean, look at Boston versus Florida 3 years ago. Boston was the President's Trophy winner. Everybody had them picked for the Stanley Cup, and Florida came in and took them out in 7 games because Florida had been playing playoff hockey since January, So, I think that's the fate that's going to end up getting Colorado. So that's why I'm still picking Vegas.
Do you think Panthers are going to make the playoffs? I don't think they will.
Well, I would not be surprised if they miss. And we've talked about it before. I say it again. It's the wear and tear. They played so many games, into June. They went to the final before they even were winning cups. And attrition is a huge thing in hockey. I mean, it's you could see it even with the goaltending. Every Rangers lost Shesterkin, and then Quick is falling apart. He's 39 years old. So they brought up some Schlemiel nobody ever heard of, and so with the goalies and everything, and of course Bob is pretty old. For a goalie, but you never can tell. They got a great coach, and they got a lot of heart on that team. I have a question for Jason about fans and golf. And I start off by saying that I'm so old that I remember when tennis was a pure amateur game. I used to go to the matches at Forest Hills. It was some of the best things I ever had in my life. But at the tennis matches then, it was pure. It was absolute quiet. There was nobody said a thing, and unless it was time to cheer. And then there was a cheering, and that was it. But there was no wise cracks or yelling from anybody. And then it seemed to change, and now all kinds of nonsense of the fans. It's a total 180 degrees different. Has it changed in golf, or is it do people maintain decorum?
No, it's changed. If you remember the Ryder Cup this year in New York, it was a bit of a golf show. So I'm going to call that New Yorkers. I have a lot of friends from New York, but yeah, they were a little bit offside this year. So I think it's maybe just location. So if it's in a different place, it's not the same. They're passionate about the country winning, U.S. versus Europe. So, but that was there was a few loudmouths there, obviously, that yell out. I remember it was there. There was it a U.S. Open, or was it? I remember. I think it was Ryder Cup, and it was at Bethpage Black before too, and someone yelled out "No love," right, because it was Davis Love, and then the guy got ejected. So. In hockey, like, you can say anything you want in the stands pretty much, as long as there's no children around beside you or something like that. They're saying whatever. Refs suck, all that kind of stuff. So it's different. I think it's just different sports wise, and fans are engaged to interact in hockey, but not so much in golf. It gets quiet. Like, people are respectful when the players are playing a lot of times. Sometimes not in New York. They weren't in the Ryder Cup, but I've been to the Masters a couple times, and it's dead quiet. Like I was there for when Adam Scott won. I was there on the Sunday, saw the winning putt go down from maybe like 50 yards away, which was pretty cool. And it was on the 10th hole because we couldn't see anything on 18. Everyone was packed, and then we heard there was going to be a playoff, so we went to 10 and we was hanging out on 10, and it was raining, and there was three of us under one umbrella, and then it was dead silence. Whereas like you couldn't hear anything, no one made a word, made a sound, and then being part of that roar was pretty cool. So when the putt went in, but nowadays. In terms of like that, I guess that's the Ryder Cup is different than a individual tournament. So it's more, I guess, culture oriented, nation oriented because they want the whole country to win, right? And it was where it was. I think where it was the big deal. There's a lot of New Yorkers that have. No offense to New Yorkers, but I have even my friends. There's some of them are like kind of loudmouths. So I'm like, come on, man. But so yeah, I think it's kind of goes both ways, I guess. But people are respectful in still in golf, and I guess to a certain extent in hockey too. Just everybody wants their team to win, right? So that's what people buy tickets for. They're paying now. It's like thousands of dollars or $400 or whatever it is to go to a game. So, are you going to go and not cheer or not be able to speak your mind?
So, what's the biggest tournament you played in personally?
I played in some Canadian Tour events. I was not good enough to make it at the highest level, but because it's hard, and then financially, we just kind of run out of funds, and then realize. Hey, I'd like to teach. I wanted to be a teacher when I was going to be a phys ed teacher. So I kind of am a phys ed teacher. I'm just specialty, just golf.
So what's it like on the first tee when you got people around watching?
So those.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people that have the jitters there. Even I remember Shane Lowry won the Open Championship, and he was teeing off on the last day, and he admitted that he's like, I was just trying not to shank it into the crowd. So he was nervous because he had the lead and it's the fourth day. Typically they can put blinders on. We try not to see those things, so more tunnel vision. And when they say they're mentally tired, they're so focused in the small bubbles, 15 to 20 seconds from a major, because they know what's on the line and all that kind of stuff, that they're drained from being they're mentally drained. Not so much physically, but more mentally from a focal standpoint. So they're looking past everything. They don't really see people. So target-wise, the targets, if it's 500 yards, they're looking at something down 550 or 600 yards away, maybe even further than that sometimes. So they're not aware of the people. They are subconsciously aware of them, but not consciously aware.
Well, there's the waste management tournament in Arizona. I think it's 13th hole or something, where all the drunk college students are.
Oh yeah.
And they don't shut up. They're loud and proud, and they're yelling, and the golfers, like if they miss the green, they get booed mercilessly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
so I love that one. That one hole in all of golf where the rules don't apply, so I love watching that tournament. And my favorite tournament is the one in Florida with the 17th Island Green. I'm drawing a blank, but
the Players Championship.
The Players Championship, yes, and I've played it on the computer, and I think I've hit that green once.
It's tough.
That's a tough hole. I love that tournament. So, yeah, what's your favorite tournament?
I'm gonna say Masters because it's in the spring. It's the first major of the year. The property is amazing. It's unbelievable. I can't they have walkways and stuff, and they basically are trimming the grass sometimes with scissors, and there's not a weed there. There's no such thing as a weed there. And they fill the crosswalks in with green, like sand or dust, so you can't see that it's been worn out from people walking on it. Like it's an outstanding property. So pretty cool.
Jason, have you ever tossed a club in anger?
Only one time. So I remember I did it. It was on the 13th hole at the Country Club here in Toronto. And it was my lob wedge, and I missed the chip shot, and then I turned and I threw this club at a cherry tree, and I broke the shaft. One went that way, and one went that way, and that's the only time I ever threw one.
You should be a hockey player.
That was a long time ago, so that was like 1995, I think. So never broken anything since.
So, Jason, every sports person going through a slump, how do you coach an athlete through a slump without breaking their confidence?
Well, their confidence is already broken, so we got to like build it back up. So then when I said attitude and effort, they have to first shift the attitude around to get in the right space so that they can perform again. And that's part of the coach's job, is to build confidence in players. Whether it's golf or hockey, doesn't matter. I remember I was on the bench one time, and my friend Derek, he's like, I'm sitting beside him. He was from Philly, and he was playing on our team, and I looked at him, and he's like, Jay, and I'm like, what? He's like, you're dumping all the goals out. Your stick's upside down. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? My stick was upside down on the bench, and then he's like, you're dumping all the goals out. I'm like, oh my god. So he made me flip it right. He made me flip it back up. Like upright, because it's easier to jump over the boards, right? With your so, and then I got goals. I started getting goals. I was like a 20 goal guy, nothing like crazy, 45 points a year kind of a thing. Third line grinder, got the tap on the shoulder a couple times for the fights, but more in the playoffs. I was expendable, I guess. I wasn't a fourth liner, and luckily I wasn't a fifth liner, so. So hockey was fun growing up, but yeah, I mean, just maybe one of those things. That's what he said. You're dumping all the goals out. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is in the middle of a game. So pretty funny guy. But then I got some more goals after that. So it could have been just like that superstitious thing, but
yeah. Hockey players are known for being superstitious.
Oh yeah. Golfers too.
And golfers are the same. So, do you know the name Todd Bergen?
Todd Bergen. No.
He was a Philadelphia Flyer player. He was like a second round draft pick, and he was just on his way to being a very good NHL player, and he quit to become a professional golfer. So, and I never heard him. I never know what happened to him. So I was kind of wondering if you'd heard of him. But there's so many hockey players who are really good golfers. I mean, Jeremy Roenick's a really good golfer. Mario Lemieux is an excellent golfer. There's some these celebrity tours that you see every once in a while. There's some NHL guys on those tours. So, who would you say is the best NHL player golfer?
Oh, geez. I mean, I know I don't watch the celebrity tournaments, but that's a tough question. I don't know if I can answer that one.
One of the Leafs.
Are you saying because the Leafs don't make the playoffs, and that's why there are a lot of golfers, good golfers?
Golf, Leafs, golf.
They're getting there later every year. So to the golf course, I mean.
About 25, 30 years ago, a big hotel in the Catskill Mountains of New York called Concord had every summer they had a hockey week, and it was very, very popular because the Concord had one of the greatest courses in America at that time. It was called the Monster, and the players would come up because they had a little rink there, and they would do a little stuff during the day for the customers. But the real thing was that they came there for golf, and Mario Lemieux was there every summer. And Mark Bergevin, who's now just got himself a gig. He came from L.A., I think, to Columbus. But anyhow, there were a lot of really good. They were so avid about the golf. I mean, the Monster was such a main thing for them, and it was interesting because and Mario, obviously, as good as any of the guys who played there.
Yeah, Mario was always playing in that celebrity tournament. He did well. Back when he played. I don't know if he plays as much anymore. But and here's a stat that might be interesting. So golf in terms of participation is bigger than hockey in Canada right now.
Wow.
Like people playing the game.
Really? That's surprising because it's generally pretty expensive to play.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of kids hockey now is ridiculous. So it's like $10,000 or more. Because I have a couple kids that were playing AAA that I teach and stuff. So and they were explaining to me, like, oh, I'm going to travel here. And he actually went down to AA because he wasn't having as much fun. So it was more fun for them now, and their team's fourth in the province. So he's 13, so I guess it's U15. So they're in Stouffville. So, but he's having more fun playing AA than he did AAA. So, and then he's going to a private school next year, and going to just solely focus on golf. He's a goalie.
Wow. And he's going to quit.
He is quitting hockey. Yep. For golf.
Man.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm heartbroken. I'm a former goalie, so anytime anybody leaves the union, I feel it. Yeah, but I also love golf, so if he's going to leave the profession for golf, I can live with that. So
right now he's a smaller kid, and kind of like when I played. I mean, I was 15 years old, and I was like 5'8", 185, 5'9", somewhere around there. So, and then at 15, if you weren't 6'4" and 230 pounds like Eric Lindros, no one even looked at you. So that's what happened in that era. It just went for all the big players. And then right now, if you're not over 6'5" or 6'4" as a goalie, we're not really looking at you. So,
yeah. And I don't know whether Elena had told you this, but we usually close the podcast with me telling a joke. Okay. Yeah. This is a very unusual one because what I'm going to proceed it with is a true story. And that is the owner of the Islanders, John Ledecky, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, he invited all the previous captains of the Islanders, going back to as many as he could get. He actually got 8 altogether. And I was situated in a gazebo with the television crew, and my job was to interview a golfer after he came off. They came, he'd be playing, and then he'd come up, and I would do the interview with him. And for the first and last time in my entire life, I told the same joke 8 times, and because I had 8 golfers. And the joke, this is the joke that I told. Husband and wife were very avid golfers and very hyper-competitive golfers. And one night in their neighborhood, the neighbors heard a lot of noise coming from the husband and wife golfers. And it was so disturbing that they called the cops. And a cop came and went into the house, and what did he find? The husband was on the floor, bleeding from the head, and the wife is standing over him with a 5-iron, and there's blood coming off the 5-iron. And the cop says to the lady, "Did you hit your husband?" And she says, "Yes, officer, I did." He said, "Well, did you hit him with the 5-iron in the head?" And she says, "Yes, officer, I did." And the cop says, "Well, how many times did you hit him with the 5-iron?" And she says, 4, 5, 6, 7, but put me down for a 5.
Jason, this was a blast. Thank you so much for joining us. Big thanks as always to Stan and Jerry, and thank you to everyone listening and watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to Bottle Rocket wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on socials. We'll catch you next time.